Yo, shalom, 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 Yasharal. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, good day. Greetings to you guys, wherever you're listening in from around the world. We would like to welcome you guys back to another episode of the Daily Bread Podcast, the place that we read the Word of Yahuah daily. And I'm your host and your brother, Dalayahu Yasharal. And you guessed it right. We are gathered here today, family, to read another chapter. Make sure we ain't got no delays on the mic. What's going on? It's raining behind me. We got a lot of things happening. Yeah, we're getting into chapter 9 today. Judges chapter 9. But as you guys know, before we jump into the reading, we got to open up with prayer, right? We don't just advocate jumping into the Word of Yahuah. It's set apart. It's very spiritual, right? So we want to open up in prayer first. But before we get to that, I want to explain exactly where we are, because if somebody not haven't read the scripture before, or if somebody not familiar with this book, right? Just saying we in Judges chapter 9 is like, what does that mean to somebody that's new, right? So just to give you guys a brief recap to explain where we are in the scriptures in the context of the family of Israel and the whole overall story, we start with a brief recap. So I'm gonna make it brief as possible. I just need you guys to understand that we're reading the book from the beginning to the end. That's the only way to understand the whole narrative, the full narrative, and understand Yahuwah, right, in this covenant. So we started from the book of Genesis, story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the people who he made the covenant with, the people whose mighty one, the savior he is, right? And then that led us to the book of Exodus, with 75 people, right? The family of Jacob, also known as Israel. You guys gonna hear me speak in the Abadith or the Hebrew tongue and say Yasharal, right? So the family of Yasharal went down into Egypt, the book of Exodus, 75 people. And we read, most of us know about that book, that story. They came in 75 people. They grew into a numerous amount of people, the 12 tribes of Israel. They was oppressed in Egypt. Yahuwah saved them, delivered them, made a covenant with them, the Passover, 10 commandments, all of that good stuff. We read that. That is the bedrock and foundation of the covenant and of the book, the Bible, right? You need to know that and understand that. So we read that already. We advise you guys, we implore you guys, we suggest that you guys follow up with those first chapters. It's on the podcast, chapter by chapter, right? So we read that book. That led us to the book of Leviticus, the priest's book, right? Yahuwah took one of the 12 tribes, the tribe of Aaron and Moses, and he made them his priests for the other 12 tribes. Other 11 tribes, but technically it's 12. Right? I'm gonna explain later. So there's the priesthood. So the book of Leviticus explains all the offerings and the sacrifices in the temple, and really how we connected with Yahuwah, right? The communication process, the cleansing process, right? The quarantine process for being unclean. So all of these concepts we see in modern society and modern civilization. You would never know that they Hebrew or biblical concepts unless you read the scriptures. So that's one of the reasons we start in the beginning, because it's a wealth of knowledge contained therein, right? So we read all of that already. Then that led us to the book of Numbers, Bamadabar, and Abadith. And that's literally in the wilderness. We spent 40 years in the wilderness. A journey that should have took 40 days turned into 40 years because of our disobedience, and Yahuwah happened to mold us, right? So that's the book of Numbers. Very important. That leads us to the book of book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, which is in the 40th year. Moses went over everything again for the new generation that was born on the way and explained everything. That he gave you a concise summary, just like I did in the book of Deuteronomy, explained all the covenants again, the commandments again, and we read all of that. That is the Torah, the most important part of the book. So if you're not familiar with that, just saying we in Judges chapter 9, you can keep reading with us, but we just advise understand the Torah first. Anyway, my recap is going overboard. We read that summary, finishing up the Torah, led us to the book of Yahushua, aka Joshua, and he led them into the promised land. And now we in the time period of the Judges. Joshua died. We having good ruler, bad ruler. Good ruler, we serving Yahuwah. When that leader died, then we go back to following the nations and not serving Yahuwah. And it's a alternating pattern of slavery and freedom. So Just tell me who history does that remind you of, right? So that's what's going on right now. We're in Judges chapter 9, and we're about to get into it. But before we do that, it's time to open up in prayer. Again, just speaking all these things into existence today, the day that Yahuwah given us, we all here. It's the reason to praise Yahuwah. Again, all he has been through with us as a nation, as a people, and we still here. So, and especially us communing together, reading his word is very, very special. Something not to be taken lightly. So with that said, let's open up in prayer, and then we can jump into our chapter for the day, see what Yahuwah, what wisdom he want to impart on us as we start our day, and then we'll have any conversation or dialogue at the end. All right, cool. Let's stand up, face the direction of Jerusalem, and raise our hands, open our palms, pray according to the Hebrew custom. We say, let his rain come. The rain is coming. Baruch atah Yahuwah, Eloheinu, Hamalat Ulam. Our Father who is in the heavens, permit your name to be set apart. Permit your rain to come. Permit your desire to be done on earth as it is in heaven. We come before you this day praying and asking that you give us this day our daily bread. We ask that you forgive us for our sins and our trespasses against your Torah and your commandments, as we forgive our debtors, and we forgive those who trespass against us. We also ask that you allow us not to be led into trial, but that you save us and deliver us from the wicked one. For yours, O Yahuwah, is the reign, the power, and the esteem, now and forever. So these things and more, we pray in the name of our Mashiach and sovereign Yahushua. Allah Yahuwah, Tudah Yahuwah, Yabarakat Yahuwah, Aman, 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 Aman. So it is, let it be, let it be. So now, all this is leading us into where we are for the day. Our chapter for the day, chapter 9, in the book of Shaphatym, aka the book of Judges. So let's get into it. As you can see, the subheading say Abimelech's conspiracy. So we got a conspiracy in Yasharal. Let's see what's really going on. Verse 1, chapter 9, verse 1. Now Abimelech, the son of Yaraba'al, went to Shechem to his mother's relatives and said to them and to the whole clan of his mother's family. So just so we on the same page, this is talking about Gideon's son. Gideon is Yaraba'al, and he got 70 sons, but then he had a son by a concubine, an extra son, so he had more than 70 sons. And we got some family feuding going on, it looked like. Okay, verse 2. So he went to his whole clan of his mother's family, say in the ears of all the leaders of Shechem, which is better for you, that all the 70 sons of Yaraba'al rule over you, or that one rule over you? Remember also that I am bone of your flesh. And his mother's relatives spoke all these words on his behalf in the ears of all the leaders of Shechem, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, he is our brother. That makes sense. No, I really don't. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal Berith, of which Abimelech hired worthless and reckless fellows who followed him. So they were wrong off the rip, because they were serving another mighty one, right? Baal Berith, which is terrible. And so they was already not serving Yahuwah, and then they gonna come and try to usurp the authority, right, of that Yahuwah had already in place with this man acknowledged sons, or whatever the case may be. You know, however the power structure was, they want to do something different, and they power by dirty money. Verse 5. And he went to his father's house at Ophrah and killed his brothers, the sons of Yaraba'al, 70 men on one stone. But Yatham, the youngest son of Yaraba'al, was left, for he hid himself. So he killed 69 sons. And all the leaders of Shechem came together, and all beat Milo. And they went and made Abimelech king by the oak of the pillar at Shechem. When it was told to Yatham, he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim and cried aloud and said to them, listen to me, you leaders of Shechem, that Elohim may listen to you. The trees once went out to anoint a king or a sovereign over them. And they said to the olive tree, reign over us. I love this parable. At first, when I read this parable, I didn't really fully understand the parable. But let's read it and we'll see what we get out the parable. And again, if y'all understand anything in the parable, y'all get some nuances out of it that I don't mention, please enlighten us all in the comments. Okay. So I think what the point is, he just saying like basically you could get anybody to be a king, and some trees don't even want to be king over you people. So how is it you got a worthless king? That's what I think we're trying to say. But let's see. So we're talking about the son Yatham, the one that escaped, right? When it was told to Yatham, he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim and cried aloud and said to them, listen to me, you leaders of Shechem, that Elohim may listen to you. The trees once went out to anoint a king over them. And they said to the olive tree, reign over us. But the olive tree said to them, will I leave my abundance by which Elohim and men are honored and go hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the fig tree, you come and reign over us. But the fig tree said to them, will I leave my sweetness and my good fruit and go hold sway over the trees? And the tree said to the vine, you come and reign over us. But the vine said to them, will I leave my vine that cheers Elohim and men and go hold sway over the trees? Then all the trees said to the bramble, ain't talking to the bushes, the thorns, bushes, right? You come and reign over us. And the bramble said to the trees, if in good faith you are anointing me sovereign over you, then come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now, therefore, if you acted in good faith and integrity when you made Abimelech sovereign, and you have dealt well with Yaraba'al and his house, and have done to him as his deeds deserve, for my father fought for you and risked his life and delivered you from the hand of Midian. It's crazy. And you have risen up against my father's house this day and killed his sons, 70 men on one stone, and have made Abimelech, the son of his female servant, the sovereign over the leaders of Shechem, because he is your relative. If you then have acted in good faith and integrity with Yaraba'al and with his house this day, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out from Abimelech and devour the leaders of Shechem and beat Milo. Excuse me. And let fire come out from the leaders of Shechem and from beat Milo and devour Abimelech. So if y'all ain't acting in integrity, this whole thing should not stand. Y'all gonna go to war against each other. He gonna have fire on y'all. Y'all gonna have fire on him. Verse 21. And Yatham ran away and fled and went to Ba'ar, literally the well, and lived there because of Abimelech, his brother. So talk about civil war in Yasharal. And the whole thing said conspiracy. Man, I'm going to say my discourse for the end, but this is exactly what we don't need in the body of Yasharal, right? Brothers fighting against one another. Wow. So verse 22. Abimelech ruled over Yasharal 3 years. So we see it was already a divide between, I ain't going to say Yehuda and Yasharal, but basically Abimelech was ruling over not the whole nation of Yasharal. Maybe it was, but a portion. Maybe the northern tribes, not the northern tribes. It say Yasharal, like all Yasharal, but it tell us like it's his specific city, his hometown, basically. But maybe it's going to clarify. But I'm just pointing out, it seemed like it was already a divide and a fraction in the whole nation Yasharal before we got the kings that came in and later fractured the nation Yasharal. Very interesting. Verse 23. And Elohim sent the evil spirit, just like Yatham had prophesied, right, on top of Mount Gerizim, which is very prophetic, right? That's where they stood at and announced the blessings and the curses over Yasharal as they entered the land. So very prophetic. And just 3 years later, right, just to keep the context clear, Elohim said the evil spirit between Abimelech and the leaders of Shechem. And the leaders of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech. He said that the violence done to the 70 sons of Yaraba'al might come, and their blood be laid on Abimelech their brother, who killed them, and the men of Shechem, who strengthened his hand to kill his brothers. And the leaders of Shechem put men in ambush against him on the mountaintops, and they robbed all who passed by them along that way. And it was told to Abimelech. So Hebrew brothers doing Hebrew things, man. If you know, you know. You feel me? If you grew up around Hebrew people, if you know, you know. It's nothing new under the sun, man. He go rob you, rob their own brothers. Straight up. It's civil war going on in the nation of Yasharal. But again, nothing is new under the sun. And again, when I read this don't fit the disposition of every nation, but a select few stiff-necked people go to war with their brothers, robbing people in the streets for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just to make a name for themselves, just to cause some issues. You feel me? Obviously, rich in themselves, but this is the type of things we see in our neighborhoods all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Again, the leaders of Shechem put men in ambush against him on the mountaintops, and they robbed all who passed by. They robbed all who passed by them along that way. So Abimelech was not happy about that. And it was told to Abimelech, and Gaal, the son of Ebed, or Abad, servant, moved into Shechem with his relatives, and the leaders of Shechem put confidence in him. And they went out into the field and gathered the grapes from the vineyards and trod them and held a festival. And they went into the house of their Elohim and ate and drank and reviled Abimelech. So now he plotted on his brother's sons. Now they got a new ruler or somebody, a leader, and they plotting on him. Just to keep the context clear. Verse 28. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, said, who is Abimelech? And who are we of Shechem that we should serve him? Is he not the son of Yaraba'al? And is not Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem. But why should we serve him? It's some discontention brewing, to say the least. Would that these people were under my hand, then I would remove Abimelech. I would say to Abimelech, increase your army and come out. Oh, them boys going to war. Hey, straight up, hey. If you know, you know. But one thing I would say about this that we're reading is just that, what was I gonna say? I was finna say, yeah, this civil war, brothers going to war against brothers is nothing new. And it's just this whole, what I was gonna say is this whole chapter right here speaks to the same thing I was saying at the beginning of this book. The book of Judges is modern day Yasharal. And that's why we read this stuff, people, because we learn. Every man is doing what's right in his own eyes. And we see what this lead to when there's no leadership in Yasharal. We're not respecting the elders. We don't all agree that we messianic or Mashiach is sovereign or Yahuwah, or understand his name, the importance of his feast days, whatever it may be, fleeing Babylon, fleeing confusion in one way or another, right? Even if it's literally in our midst, literal confusion and figurative confusion is leading us astray, and every man doing what's right in his own eyes. And what is leading to? Contention, again, babal, more confusion. So these things we got to be on guard against. And you see, this is why we read these chapters, because it is full of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and what they call it, cautionary tales of what not to do and the traps not to fall into, right? It's no reason I would see myself getting to this point with any one of my brothers in Yasharal. Like, I would just walk away if I feel like somebody doing something wrong, just leave it alone. But these boys is really, man, eye for an eye. You heard me? Eye for an eye. Verse 32. Now, therefore, go by night, you and the people who are with you, and set an ambush in the field. This is history, family. Then in the morning, as soon as the sun is up, rise early and rush upon the city. And when he and the people who are with him come out against you, you may do to them as your hand finds to do. And boy said, get it how you live. You heard me? Verse 34. So Abimelech and all the men who were with him rose up by night and set an ambush against Shechem in 4 companies. And Gaal, the son of Ebed, went out and stood at the entrance of the gate of the city And Abimelech and the people who were with him rose from the ambush. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, look, people are coming down from the mountaintops. And Zebul said to him, you mistake the shadow of the mountain for men. Wow, so that's how many it was. Them boy had, it came up on them. They got the up, as we say in these days, they got the ups on them. They definitely got the advantage. Gaal spoke again and said, look, people are coming down from the center of the land, and one company is coming from the direction of the diviner's oak. Then Zebul said to him, where is your mouth now? You who said, who is Abimelech that we should serve him? Are not these the people whom you despise? Go out now and fight with them. Go ahead, do your thing. You was talking all that talk. You could even just, you could see these people just from their dialogue. And Gaal went out at the head. Whoa, what's going to happen? The suspense is real. I don't even know. And Gaal went out at the head of the leaders of Shechem and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled before him. And many fell wounded up to the entrance of the gate. And Abimelech lived at Arumah, and Zebul drove out Gaal and his relative so that they could not dwell at Shechem. On the following day, the people went out into the field, and Abimelech was told. He took his people and divided them into 3 companies and set ambush in the fields. And he looked and saw the people coming out of the city, so he rose against them and killed them. Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood at the entrance of the gate of the city, while the 2 companies rushed upon all who were in the field and killed them. It's not good, family. And Abimelech fought against the city all that day. He captured the city and killed the people who were in it, and he razed the city and sold it with salt. When all the leaders of the tower of Shechem heard of it, they entered the stronghold of the house of El-Berit, not the deity. Abimelech was told that all the leaders of the towers of Shechem were gathered together from Friday. And Abimelech went up to Mount Zalmon, he and all the people who were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a bundle of brushwood and took it up and laid it on his shoulder. And he said to the men who were with him, what you have seen me do, hurry and do as I have done. So every one of the people cut down his bundle, and following Abimelech, put it against the stronghold, and they set the stronghold on fire over them, so that all the people of the tower of Shechem also died, about 1,000 men and women. Damn, that's crazy. So if you're paying attention, let's finish reading. But also, if you're paying attention, just what Yaraba'al's son said is coming to pass. Hey, y'all gonna be beefing with each other. Said the spirit of Yahuah came up on them, boy. This thing spicy. Then Abimelech went to Thebes and encamped against Thebes and captured it. Abimelech he doing the work of you. He doing the work of Yahuah now. And it just show you sometimes Yahuah use people that are doing bad for good. Or good, man. Yahuah got a purpose for everybody, man. So that's why Yahuah should say, let the weeds grow together, man, to the end. Because the good gonna do bad, might end up doing bad, and the bad might do some good for the good, you know, all that. So you never know, man. Everybody got a chance. If you listening, if you under the sound of my voice, if you able to read the scripture, if you able to pray, you got a fighting chance. But there was a strong tower within the city. So hold up, verse 50. Then Abimelech went to Thebes and encamped against Thebes and captured it. A different city, not Shechem. Before it was the tower of Shechem, now he in Thebes. But there was a strong tower within the city, and all the men and women and all the leaders of that city fled to it and shut themselves in. And they went up to the roof of the tower. And Abimelech came to the tower and fought against it and drew near to the door of the tower to burn it with fire. And a certain woman threw an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. So just like little fool said from the 70, you know that 7 is the truth. That 7 is the Saba, the Shaba. That's an oath. He said, I'm going to tell you, y'all going to beef with each other, and you going to beef with them. You're going to put fire between you and them, and they going to put fire on you. So he put fire on them But he tried to keep going, conquesting like he with the S on his chest. You burnt down one tower. You thought you finna burn down another tower. Boy, drop the rock on his head like Jezebel got killed. Throw him out the window. Again, verse 53. And a certain woman threw an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Scriptures be graphic sometimes, but you gotta tell it like it is now. Verse 54. Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor bearer, and said to him, draw your sword and kill me, lest they say of me, a woman killed him. That was worse than dying, right? It said a woman killed him. Now, message, what they people be saying, give you a lot of insight to the culture and the context, right? If you're reading with comprehension. Very patriarchal society we come from, to say the least, right? Women definitely had respect for men, but this was battle, right? And he was finna kill them people. Them people, that was a wartime act. She done dropped it. Just like we read with a couple chapters ago with Deborah and Barak. And the lady killed the man. The lady got this thing because she smashed his skull, boy. So, man, the women in Yasharal was very humble and submissive, but nothing to play with at this message. And his young man thrust him through and he died. So sad. And when the men, verse 55, and when the men of Yasharal saw that Abimelech was dead, all right, we finished now. Everybody departed to his home. Thus, Elohim returned the evil of Abimelech, which he committed against his father and killing his, it says 70 brothers, but if we understand it correctly, that's why we're reading with comprehension. 69 brothers. He killed his 69 brothers. But when he died, I guess he was the 70th brother. And 70 of Gideon's son did die, basically. So you can't say 70 sons if you look at it, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. Verse 57. And Elohim also made all the evil of the men of Shechem return on their heads. And upon them came the curse of Yatham, the son of Jerubbaal. Not Babal, but Yaraba'al. Baal, right? That was, he contends with Baal, literally. Not Babal like Babylon. Man, whoa. What shall we say then, family? What shall we say about that? That was man, y'all get in the comments, man. Tell me what y'all think. That's 57 chapters, man. Shout out to 5-7, you feel me? But it's a lot to say, but what shall we say that? What I'm gonna say is, my perspective is, Elohim reward you for what you do. What I want to say is, it's like an eye for eye. That man was wrong for killing his 70 brothers because he was the son of the concubine. You gonna kill the 70 brothers and like, nah, I'm his best son. I want to be the ruler. So you gonna go make a conspiracy in Yasharal. And that's what it was. It's a conspiracy in Yasharal, but we see how that all these what they call insurgents or insurrections and these upheavals, or what they call them, when people try to take power from the power, when you try to have an insurrection, you know what I'm saying? You want to have a military insurrection and go against the grain. What you want? It is what it is. You feel me? So it ain't good. It's like a civil war happened, so to speak. But it was a conspiracy because it wasn't really, shouldn't have been no war. It say this man, like the son that lived, Yatham said, my father risked his life for y'all, all Yasharal against Midian. And you can't forget the context of what Gideon did do, because Gideon beat Midian, right? It rhymed. Gideon and Midian was the whole thing, but Midian was taking Yasharal lunch money. For real. Them boy was Debo on us. Every year, the crops which we work hard to grow every year, them boy came left a nigga hungry. Nigga had to hide the crops. Then Yahuwah put that spirit on cuz and say, hey, you gonna save Yasharal. Then this man saved Yasharal with 300 men. And this is the thanks he get. They killed all his 70 sons. His other son, the 71st son, killed the 70 or the 69. So, hey, man, this is our history, and this, everybody got a dark past. Certain nations got certain things in their history that they're not proud of. Us too. and we talking about our own history, right? So at least we able to speak on it, and this is our history, and we need to learn from that. And that's the thing. What did you learn from this, family? We got to learn stuff from everything. So, you know, that's the message I want to leave everybody with. Like, you know, everything is a lesson. Like we say, I keep saying it. These things were written for our understanding, right? So, what did you learn from it? That's the question. You know, I'm really asking that, not just for the engagement, but seriously, sincerely, I want to know, what did y'all get from this? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, like I'm saying, it's Living for Yahuah ministry. Y'all can support the ministry if you want to, donate. But the best way to do that is support the ministry. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode of the Daily Bread Podcast. Go down, scroll down on the homepage, subscribe to the ministry branches so you don't miss the context and the content we giving out in the other topics and the subject matters, right? From finance to Hebrew language to travel and expatriation, right? So a lot going on with the ministry. So you could support the ministry, but the best thing you can do is subscribe to the ministry branches. But we really sincerely asking y'all, what did you think about this chapter? What did you get from this, right? What's the lesson we could walk away with? Enlighten us all and share with the family in the comment section. So let's get the conversation going. Until the next chapter, peace to the Middle East, family.